I do think that people learn very well with the hands-on learning, and it just engages them and it brings them and really draws them into that learning experience to where they can kind of make it their own.
Welcome to the Joy Powered Workspace podcast, where we help HR and business leaders embrace joy in the workplace. I'm JoDee Curtis, owner of Purple Ink, an HR consulting and talent development firm. And with me is my friend and co-host, Susan White, owner of Susan Tender White Consulting, also an HR consulting practice. She's also a senior executive collaborator with Purple Ink. Our topic today is experiential and active learning. In recent years, the landscape of education has undergone a transformative shift, driven by the advent of e-learning and the increasing emphasis on active learning methodologies. E-learning, characterized by the use of digital platforms and technologies to facilitate both remote and online education, has gained immense popularity. The flexibility and accessibility it offers have made education more inclusive, enabling learners from diverse backgrounds to access quality educational resources. And platforms like Coursera, Udemy, and Khan Academy have revolutionized the way we perceive education, offering courses that cater to a wide range of interests and professional needs.
JoDee, I've got to tell you that when there's something I want to learn, I go out to LinkedIn Learning using my library card because so many libraries across the country give you, if you're a member, free access to all those courses. I love the courses and I always walk away learning something. So I couldn't agree more. And I'm very excited we're talking about this today.
Well, I just learned something because I didn't know I could use my library card for that.
Yes. Yeah, it's terrific.
Wow. Well,
Mhm.
thank you for sharing. Look at me learning already.
That's wonderful.
Now, active learning has also emerged as an approach that prioritizes engagement and participation. Techniques such as group discussions, problem solving activities, and hands on projects are at the forefront of this methodology. And the benefits of active learning are multiple, including improved critical thinking skills, better retention of information, and heightened motivation. Active learning, of course, has been around for a while. We've been using it at Purple Ink for a long time. But the power of the combination of e-learning with active learning has made it so much more popular. I know we're always looking at our courses to see how can we make them more active all the time. In addition, the use of data analytics and e-learning platforms allows for more personalization of learning experiences, catering to the unique needs and preferences of each learner. As we move forward, it is evident that the combination of e-learning and active learning will continue to shape the future of learning, making it more interactive, inclusive, and effective.
Both you and I, JoDee, are instructors for sure, the Society of Human Resource Management. And one of the classes that I think is really terrific, I think they're all really good, but um, I don't know if you've taught the SHRM Essentials of Human Resources. But
Yeah.
what they do, yeah, so you have an active live, what you call a live class, because you're in real time going through content, having discussions, having learning sessions. And simultaneously, they have a whole curriculum on e-learning on the same topics. And you're able to kind of go back and forth. You, as this participant, can go through the online course, go back and watch videos that we might have talked about in class. And then you could take assessments all the way through to make sure that you're, gaining the knowledge. Anyway, I think it's really powerful, as you said, to combine both active learning with e-learning can really, I think, hit the mark.
Right, right. So, we've invited a guest today to help us share more information on this topic. Beth Haggenjos is an award-winning instructional designer, learning experience designer, and management consultant. She has a master's degree in adult education with a focus on experiential learning. Beth specializes in design and development to deliver e-learning and instructor-led training. She is well known for implementing active learning into her practices and teaches instructors how to flip the classroom to engage learners.
Beth, we are so glad that you're here. I've got a question for you. How would you define experiential learning, and why do you believe it's crucial for organizations aiming to enhance their training programs?
Yeah, that is definitely a good question. I'm very passionate about experiential learning, enough that I actually wrote quite a bit about it in my graduate program, and I ended up writing some of my final thesis, particularly on that topic. So, to me, experiential learning is definitely important. I define it as in having more hands-on learning and actually experience, like having experience and learning through experience. As far as it being crucial for organizations, definitely is. You can increase engagement with your employees, your company. You can also have better retention over time through experiential learning. So those are two of the top things I definitely suggest on that particular topic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
makes sense.
And can you tell us also about active learning and how it can be effectively implemented across different organizations?
Yeah, so active learning is that hands-on learning piece and putting practice into like actively practicing it. So, for example, you might have a learning experience to where you're trying to train employees on something very specific. And instead of lecturing to them and just talking to them about it, doing more of like case studies and actually having them apply the knowledge that they're learning is what I definitely recommend.
Yeah. I think our attention spans are so much
Yeah.
shorter now, really, that lecturing is just not, doesn't work for
Yeah.
anyone, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. I do think that people learn very well with the hands-on learning, and it just engages them and it brings them and really draws them into that learning experience to where they can kind of make it their own. And I think that that brings it to where they come to just a whole different level of learning for certain.
Yeah.
I find that when I'm leading a training class, that if I'm talking too much, I'm boring myself. I can only imagine that if my lecturing bores me, it's going to bore them. Beth,
Right.
can you give us an example of maybe a successful e-learning practice or case study or technique or just something that our listeners can understand? Maybe we should try this with the group.
Yeah, so I've had multiple experiences with e-learning, but one in particular that I think of. So I've worked with a group that they were a software company and they were trying to deliver training. And we were trying to figure out what we were going to do because they had time clocks all over the globe, but they only had two locations that actually had the time clock. So one of the things I did for that particular group is I created online simulations to where we were taking screenshots of that particular unit and they could then train employees all over the globe, which
Mhm.
was a unique way to do it. But it was also interactive. So it provided them a safe learning environment. So that way they can just practice it anytime that they wanted to.
Love,
Nice.
love it. And Beth, we're talking about these techniques and different ways for other people to stay up to date on new learnings. How do you stay up to date with the latest educational technologies? And how do you advise other organizations on which technologies they should adopt as well?
Yeah, there is so much going on right now in this era that we're going through with AI. I think for myself, like I have an innate curiosity, and I'm constantly reading. So a lot of times I'm skimming headlines, grabbing things that are kind of that pique my interest. But I think the main thing is just be curious and get out there. Read if you can. If you don't like to do that, watch videos because you know we're all different types of learners. And there's all sorts of different ways that you can do that. So those are a couple ways that I would definitely recommend engaging um, to learn more.
Yeah. Nice.
Good advice. So, what trends do you see, Beth, shaping the future of instructional design, e-learning, management consulting, and how should organizations, our listeners, prepare for these changes?
Yeah, so it's not hard to know that AI is rocking the world of
Hmm.
our industries right now. And it's not just the ones that we're in here, but it's just all over. And so I would say that as far as looking at the future trends, that's going to be a huge one. There's a lot of people having had a background in just like career services. I've had people that are like, oh, jobs are going to get replaced. And it's like, not necessarily. The people who learn how to use these tools, those are going to be the ones that I think are going to come out in the forefront of things in the long run. And that's where it's important to focus on that. Also, too, some of the trends, I think we're going to see a lot more gamification that kind of leads to that hands on experience to where people, they're looking for that engaging piece for their learning just because it fits their learning style. There's, personal learning paths. I think that that's going to be a way of the future. Just things that are more customized. That's going to be definite in the future.
Hmm.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
I'm actually taking a course right now through SHRM on AI and HR. And my instructor in that course, too, was addressing the question that so many people have about, will I be replaced? And his answer to that was maybe some of our mundane tasks
Mhm.
will be replaced
Yeah.
and allowing us to work at a higher level, right? Not
Mhm.
that our jobs are going away, but that we get to do more of the fun stuff in our
Yeah.
jobs and roles, I think.
Yeah. I
So,
definitely agree with that.
yeah,
I like that thinking.
yeah. And Beth, if our listeners are interested in contacting you to learn more, what is the best way to reach out to you?
They can either find me through my website, which is careerslice.com, and also just reaching out through LinkedIn. Also, don't be afraid to reach out here to JoDee. I just became a collaborator with Purple Ink this past year, and so a little plug in for them. I've definitely enjoyed their partnership, and we would be happy to work with you.
Yes, great.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we can't let you go, Beth, until you answer a joy powered question. What is one small step or change that you've made during your career that boosted your joy at work?
I think the biggest thing is like I am a people person. So definitely like communication and collaboration are huge, whether it be in person or in an online environment, but just, engaging others. That's probably the biggest thing that's brought me joy in my career.
Well, gosh, well, thank you for engaging with us today in person.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
If you like our show, you should check out our Patreon page. We have 3 monthly membership tiers where you can get perks like early and ad free access to episodes, video recordings of the episodes, our top action items to do after listening to the episode, and some bonus episodes. And if you want to try it out first, you can sign up for a 7-day free trial. You'll get access to past content when you join. So even if we don't post anything new during your trial period of 7 days, you can still get a taste of the perks that members get. If you're not ready to sign up for a membership, but you want some of the perks, head over to the shop page on our Patreon. That's where you can purchase individual episode video recordings, ad free audio, and bonus episodes. You can find all this great stuff and more at patreon.com/joypowered. That's patreon.com/joypowered. Thanks for listening and for supporting our show. JoDee, it's time for our listener question. The following question came from one of our listeners to one of our prior episodes. How do you tell an employer if you do not feel safe and you are newly diagnosed with being neurodivergent?
Well, the part about if you do not feel safe is a tough one, right? I mean, I want to say that I want you to be as honest as possible. And I think people are so much more open and really so much more educated on those topics now than ever before. I mean, if someone had told me 10 years ago or so that they were neurodivergent, first of all, I wouldn't have known what it meant. And second of all, I might have been scared about what kind of
Mm.
employee was on my team and how they might work. But I think to some extent, there, in order to get what you're looking for, that you have to be honest, but also to be clear as to why you are sharing this information. So, in other words, are you asking for an accommodation under the ADA? Are you asking for a different style of learning? Are you asking for remote work? What is your point in sharing this information? And I hope it's to work better with that individual, right? That maybe you're not on the same page or they're asking you for things in the moment that are difficult for you to respond to or work through. So be clear about what those issues are and what you're asking for. And you might also listen to our podcast, number 194, in May of 2024, called How Neurodiversity Impacts Productivity, Culture, and Retention. We had guests Jeff Gibbard and Sarah O'Hannison on for that one that I think might be helpful as well.
I would also offer up if you happen to watch the TV show Survivor, and like who in America doesn't watch it sometimes, right? Well, the current season, and now we are in spring of 2025, one of the contestants is neurodivergent. And like one of her first days on her tribe, she took aside a man, a fellow contestant, and wanted to share with him. She said, I want to confide in at least one person that I'm neurodivergent. And I want you to know there's going to be times where I'm going to get so focused on something, I'm not going to be paying attention. And I could use your help in giving me some kind of a sign if it appears I'm being rude or I'm not cueing in to what's happening around me. It was the most beautiful way that she explained how it manifests itself for her. And this other contestant, oh man, I hope he wins. I mean, either one of them. I was just so moved by the whole thing. He was like, "What can I do to help?" And then she actually gave him really tangible things about, if you hold my hands, if I start to get really worked up over something, holding my hands works for me. And that gets me grounded. Anyway, if you like Survivor, I can't remember what season it is, like maybe 4083. I don't know, but spring of 2025. I think it was very insightful. So.
Oh, I love that. And I think I love the specificity that she mentioned about what might you see me doing and how can you help me get through it. That's the type of thing I'm
Mhm.
asking about being honest about what are the situation and what are your needs in it. So very
Beautiful.
nice. It's time for In the News. Per a January 2025 Gallup report, employee engagement in the US fell to its lowest level in a decade in 2024, with only 31% of employees engaged. This number matches the figure last seen in 2014. It peaked during COVID in 2020 at 36%. So let's take a look. Why did it decline and what were those issues? The biggest declines among Gallup's 12 elements of engagement were in number one, clarity of expectations. Just 46% of employees clearly know what is expected of them at work, which was down 10 points from a
Mm.
high of 56% in March of 2020.
Wow. Feeling someone at work cares about them as a person went down as well. Currently, 39% of employees feel strongly that someone cares about them in the workplace, which is a drop from 47% in March of 2020.
And the third one is someone encouraging their development. Only 30% strongly agree that someone at work encourages their development. This was down 6 percentage points from 36% in March of 2020. I think, although it was sad news to see it drop to its lowest level, I think the good news is that we can fix these, right? Be clear with people what our expectations are. Show people that we care about them as a person. We don't have to be their best friend, but we can check in on them and make sure they're doing okay. And also encouraging their development. Regardless of your budget, we can positively encourage people to develop. So,
I totally agree. JoDee, I want you to know I care about you. And if you need any help developing, I have got your back.
and I care about you too as well. If you're SHRM certified, you can get credit for listening to this episode. To get the code, go to getjoypowered.com/SHRM. That's SHRM, and fill out a short evaluation. When you finish the evaluation, you'll get the code and a link to a proof of participation certificate. The code for this episode will expire on April 7th, 2026. Again, that's getjoypowered.com/SHRM to get the code, and it will expire on April 7th, 2026. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your dedication to the HR profession, and make it a joy-powered day.
If you like the show, please tell a few friends about us and let us know what you thought by leaving us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening right now. Become a Joy Powered member to get extras like early access to episodes, video versions of the episodes, bonus episodes, and even more. Learn more at patreon.com/joypowered. You spell Patreon, Patreon. So it's patreon.com/joypowered. You can find more information on our podcast, books, blogs, and more at getjoypowered.com. We're at JoyPowered on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And you can email us via joypowered@gmail.com. Make it a joy-powered day.